Hi, it's Patty. Thanks for joining me today. We're going to make this really pretty card. It's very silvery. We're using silver embossing powder and heat embossing it for the sentiment and actually for the star. And then we have some silver foil paper that we're going to cut out. This kind of stars and this swoosh of stars, I don't know what you call it. And then these big stars. So I'm using the So Many Stars and the Stitched Stars dies. These are just beautiful. I can see using this for Christmas, graduation, 4th of July, school, all kinds of things. I mean, the dies are really great. So what we're going to do is stamp this star on Whisper White paper and heat emboss it. We'll stamp it with Versamark, and then we'll cut it out with one of these. And we'll also cut out a backing of silver gold foil, and we're going to use this kind of group of stars, swoosh of stars, I don't know what you'd call it. So we're using Night of Navy and Seaside Spray, and then the gold or silver. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is our embossing, and we'll do the star and then we'll do the sentiment. And I also have a sentiment embossed in here. And then I stamped these with this silvery shimmer metallic ink instead of embossing it. You could do either way, whatever you want to do. And there's lots of stars. If you wanted to add different stars, you could stamp them out here. You can cut different stars and add them. I use these stars from this cutout. It gives you some extra stars. So you'll see when you cut this out, you have some stars that fall out of it. So let's get started with the embossing. The first thing I'm going to do is use my embossing buddy, and we'll just run this over. I'm going to run it over the whole thing, and we're just going to stamp the star. And actually, let me get the this piece as well, and we might as well do the inside. We'll do all our heat embossing at the same time. So this one I'm just going to rub down here, and this just keeps your embossing powder on the part that you stamp with Versamark instead of having it go on other parts of your card. So I know I've got things all over the place here. This I'm going to just do in the middle. All right, so that's where we're going to be doing our Versamark stamping and then our heat embossing. So let's get this going. The first thing we'll do is stamp this image. Let me just show you this one. You could do this one as well. They're the same size. So one thing about this is you have to make sure you don't go too close to the edge, because your die is bigger than this. It's stitched and it's just a little bit bigger. So I went too close when I first tried it, and then I couldn't cut it out because one of the points was hanging off the paper. So that's just a little hint. So I'll just do this, and I'm going to bring it down here, and then we'll get our powder. So we're using silver powder, and I just keep it in a little tub, and we'll just get the powder, the embossing powder, and just go right over it, and then you'll see the star. Isn't that pretty? And we didn't even emboss it yet. So I like to just kind of tap it, and then I do this, and if there's any excess, I just take a paintbrush and brush it away. So we're going to put this up here, and then let's get our sentiment, and we'll do the same thing. This is the inside sentiment. So let's do, this is "Oh Night the Stars Are Brightly Shining," or "Holy Night the Stars Are Brightly Shining," like the song. So we're going to put this down here, and this one you'll see better. And you can just use Versamark if you wanted to get a lighter color without doing the heat embossing. Sometimes that's a nice background. So you can see it's very light, but sometimes you do that with a background stamp and you just get a lighter color on color. So let's get our embossing powder, And we'll put it on this. And I like to do 2 coats just to make sure I got it good. So that looks good. So we'll put this aside. And then we'll do our inside sentiment. And that one says, "May you enjoy this beautiful season." And these are all in this set, which is really nice. So if you wanted to get a complete set, sometimes I use stamps that are in other sets. This is nice because it's all together. So we'll put this up here. And then we'll do all of our heat embossing. And I'm actually going to do those other little stars with the metallic ink as well. So we'll get everything done with the heat gun at once. So let's just do one more scoop. Okay, let me just see if there's this little bit. Okay, so let's put the lid on this and the lid on this and put this stuff away. And I'm going to just use this little bit of stars and use that metallic ink and put that up top and on the bottom of the inside. So I'm going to go off the page and just kind of give a little bit of stars. You can stamp and emboss a bigger star if you wanted. I just wanted to give a little bit of, let me just see this. It's kind of an odd shape. So you can go up further. I like to leave some room for my writing, the name and who it's from, and little bit of a note. So let's put all of this away on the side. I'm going to get out my heat gun. I'll start embossing and then I'm going to speed it up so you don't have to hear it. But I want to see let you see how it changes. It's pretty cool if you've never done this. And I do heat it from the back as well. So I'm hoping you can see when it starts changing. See that? Isn't that like magic? What it does is it melts the powder. Isn't that pretty? And I'm just going to do a little bit here and there. This will dry on its own if you don't want to dry it this way. And I'm just going to put it in the back to flatten it out a little bit. All right, I'll speed it up while I do these. Okay, so I do, hit it from the back a little bit because it does bend it. So aren't they pretty? All right, so let's put these pieces away. And now we're going to cut this out with the die. And we're going to cut out another star as well. So it's this one, I believe. Nope, it's not that one. So it's this one, and then it must be this one. That goes bigger. And we're going to cut this out with the gold, with the silver. I'm going to keep saying gold. I've been working a lot with gold. So I like to cut down my piece a little bit so that I'm not running the whole thing. When you run gold foil or silver foil through the big shot where you're embossing, and you have plates that are a little well used, well loved, sometimes this will pick up. So I don't like to put a whole big sheet in. I try to keep it smaller. So let me get my big shot out. I'll put these aside. It just leaves an imprint, and I actually need new plates, so I'm in that mode. So let's get these. I want to make sure that you could see this. So let's do this first. I have my bottom plate down, and you'll see that it's pretty messed up. So what I'm going to do is I use my plates till they almost break. I've never actually broken one. But I want to get this nice and centered, and I'm looking at all the points to make sure they are kind of inside the point of the frame here. I'm just going to lay this on top. If you want, you can put a piece of Post-it note or something like that. Some people use washi tape. Okay, so we're going to take the star out. And it's really pretty because it's stitched. I love that design. And now let's take our piece of silver foil, and we're going to do this big star, and then this other piece, the swoosh. I don't know what it's called. And we'll put this down, and don't run this through twice either, because you'll just have a better opportunity of picking up dents and things like that. So this is the frame. So see, this has, it's a little bit, but we're going to cover this. But it's very, you just have to be very careful with what your plates look like. So here's one star. I'm going to hold on to these little stars, and let's get rid of this and take this piece out. Let me get my little Picket tool and punch these out. So you'll get a bunch of stars, and those are the stars that I used on the side, or around this thing. And I think that's everything. Okay, so let's put that back. Get rid of these funny pieces. So we've got a few stars here that we can use on the front. And again, you can punch out more stars if you wanted to add more to it. There's another star. And there's a little piece in here. These things fall out pretty good. There's some little tiny ones, but it really cuts nicely. I'm so glad they redid their dies Stampin' Up, and they really seem to cut out better than some of the older ones. All right, so let's put this aside, and now we can put our card together. So what I did was I kind of placed it around to see where I wanted it, and I'll put these together first. And I was going to go this way, but I decided to kind of make it go off. So first thing I'm going to do is attach this, and I'm using liquid glue. And I want to make sure I go up into the points, but again, very lightly when you use a liquid glue. And you could use whatever adhesive you want. I just prefer the liquid glue. And then you're going to place it down, get it in the right place. I mean, that's just beautiful. I love it. I love silver. I'm a silver girl. And then this one, you're just going to put, you don't have to have the whole thing glued down, but I'm just putting a little tiny bit on kind of the wider pieces, the little stars, the pieces that seem to have a little bit more width to them, because you want it to stick down, but it doesn't have to have it on every little bit. Sometimes it's good to have things free-flowing a little bit. All right, I think that's good. So I'm going to just put this down. And if you wanted to add more glue in here, you could be a little heavier on it because you're going to cover it up. Okay, now on the star, I used dimensionals. And let me get those going. I have a brand new pack here. And I did use up top some of the smaller dimensionals. Probably don't need this many on the base. I'm overdoing it, I'm sure. And you could probably just leave it like this, but I am going to put a few of the little guys in here, the mini dimensionals, just to make sure my points are in good shape there. Wow, that's a lot of dimensionals. Sometimes I overdo it. Okay, so let's take the backs off. Pretty easy card to do, and I think it's really beautiful. And again, the stars, I think you can use them for many occasions. I hope they carry over to the annual catalog. I think they will. I don't know. Just my thought, because we have all kinds of stitched dies, ovals and rectangles and things like that, so why not stars, right? Okay, I think they're all down. So again, I'm going to put this kind of tilted, and then I'll just place these around. I thought I had a little bitty one. I might have cut that out on my own before. I think, whoops, that looks good. So I'll just put a little bit of glue on these. Okay. Now let's put this down on the card base. Again, this is Night of Navy. And we'll just lay this down and we'll put the inside in, and the card is finished. Again, very easy card, and I think it looks really beautiful and elegant. Embossing really gives cards a nice finished look. Let's do the inside now. Okay, just center this up. And this is just a very light look with the stars. I didn't want to overpower, and I think it makes the embossed part stand out a little bit. So what do you think? They're shiny. Oh, holy night, the stars are brightly shining. Perfect. All right, well, thanks for joining, and let me know if you have any questions. You can go to my blog, pspapercrafts.com, and purchase any of these. I'll have all the measurements there, the sizes, the products, all of that good stuff. Oh, you know what? Let's put some rhinestones in. I almost forgot. That's important. Important to put the bling in. So what I did was, sorry about that, I did a bigger one, not the biggest, but that size right in the middle. And then I took these smaller ones and put them in each of these little circles. Okay, hope you could see that. Thanks again for joining. You take care. Bye.